Committee meeting to order. Art, would you, oh, you last this time. Amy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by sending a copy of the notice along with the agenda of this meeting to the Atlantic City Press, Atlantic County Record, Record Journal, and current newspapers, stating this meeting would take place at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, April 18th, 2016, at the municipal building, Mays Landing, New Jersey. Ms. Gatto?
Here.
Mr. Gishard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mr. Schenker?
Here.
Mayor Silva?
Here. Can we take a moment of silence for private reflection and try to keep in your thoughts and prayers the Ethel Gaylord's mom passed, Maddie Washington, a longtime resident of the township. Keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation to Vivek Kohli. Would you meet me down front, please?
Stay right there. I'll come to you.
Thank you. Turn around and face you with me. Good. Let me just tell you about this young man. He's the president of William Davies chapter of the National Junior Honor Society and is involved in a variety of projects, fundraisers, and school and community services. He is a member of the school's athletic and math counts teams, participates in competitions. He also loves to play the piano and percussion instruments and has performed at the South Jersey Junior High Band concert for 3 years of middle school. He is an active participant in the school's concert band, jazz band, percussion ensemble, and wind ensemble. In 2012, he was the top reader in the Scholastic Summer Challenge. Besides having a second-degree black belt in International Tang Soo Do, and he's training to receive your third degree, and that's quite an accomplishment, ladies and gentlemen. It takes a lot of time and dedication. How long have you been doing it? Since first grade. It's amazing. He likes to participate in various tournaments and competitions in his spare time. Do you have spare time? Huh? A little bit. He enjoys practicing his swings at a driving range and watching him playing basketball, reading a good book, or just spending time with his family and friends. On March 12, 2016, he competed against 43 students from schools in Atlantic, Cape May, Gloucester, Salem, and Cumberland counties to win the South Jersey Spelling Bee and will represent South Jersey in the Scripps National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. in May. We, the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton, recognize you in honor of your remarkable accomplishment. This achievement is not only a credit to his hard work and dedication, but it's also a credit to the support he has received from his family, friends, classmates, and teachers. He has set a wonderful example for the young people of the Township. Let me ask you, what was the word that you had to spell when you won the bee? Retorts? How do you prepare for spelling bees? Did you memorize the dictionary? Does he study a lot? Your parents are right there. Huh? That's great. Well, I think that's a remarkable achievement, and please make sure that you keep us advised, and we're going to follow you in the newspaper. Charlie, you getting all of this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. So let me present this to you on behalf of the Township Committee in honor of your achievements, and I want to let you know that we wish you well, okay? Good luck. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we have great youth in our community, not only in sports, but in music, with the band competition that the Oakcrest High School Front Band won in the state championships. We have our young people representing us and nationwide. And I think it's a credit to this township and the educational institutions to put out such fine students. And thank you, women. I wish you very much the best to you. Thank you, too, folks. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the addition or deletion of late agenda items to be considered for action tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Early public comment on agenda items, excluding items listed for public hearings. Mike?
Yes, sir. First one is Bruna and Lana. Doesn't have an agenda item.
Just come up to the mic and identify yourself and where you live.
And which agenda item?
And which item is
You
it?
can twist it around.
Yeah. And which item is it?
Hi, my name is Bruna Lana. I live like a lot 82 in Longwood Avenue. I bought this house in 1999. It was a fixer-upper. I put a lot of money in. Right now, my house looks quite good, 100% fixed. The CBS is going to mess it up. Everything I planned for my retirement. Don't count the fact will be no, the traffic was a problem. The kids, they have no place to walk. There is no safety. There is no traffic problem. We were doing good for a while. Now with CBS, everything will go crazy. And I'm not crazy about it. I don't sleep enough because I work. I'm a medical field. I sleep about 4 hours a day. I want to be able to have a peace and quiet. It will be no peace and quiet. Also, I would like to explain that living in this house, I've been witness to a lot of water, a lot of flooding. Since I've been there, I had 2 major flooding. They destroyed my house, all my basement. The house is built, my house is built on flooded marshland, so a lot of these houses. A CBS is not going to make a good deal because when it's raining, the waters be all over the street. The traffic is bad as it is right now. Summertime, the kids go crazy on the school, but that's okay. We deal with that, but having people driving back and forth is not safe. My neighbors, I have great neighbors, my left and my right, but we all have the same situation. We want a peace and quiet. I don't think it's going to be a good deal. And I really honestly will not agree on it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Michael?
Yes, William Kraus, items 3, B, and C. Cruz? Sorry.
No, I don't have any comment to A. I crossed that out. Except what I do.
Yeah, B and C. Yeah, 3, B, and C.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that lives on Longwood Avenue.
Could you
My name's
speak
William
into the
Cruz.
microphone? I can't hear you, sir.
Okay. My name is William Cruz. I lived on Longwood Avenue with my wife and my family for 45 years.
45 years.
Moved there when I was 13. It just seems conceivable to me that the township would try to consider, or even consider, putting a mega CVS at the end of a street where it's one of the nicest and quietest streets in Mays Landing. We already have a problem with traffic, people pulling off of Route 40, and speeding down our street at night. If this project goes through, we know there's going to be a lot more traffic. We're concerned about people walking the neighborhood from the store or walking to the store. It just doesn't seem like it's a very good plan. I'm sure there's plenty of other places it could be put. One of the places it could be out there by the Wawa. There's a lot of land out there. There's that one spot where all the trees have fell down. That would be a good spot for it, because the people that come through Mays Landing or come into Mays Landing and would go by 40 and 50 are going to have to come in Mays Landing that direction. So if they're thinking it's going to get more people, it could be one-stop shopping at the Wawa and at the CVS. But the other thing was, Lost my train of thought.
Right. Take your
Just
time.
having a senior moment.
I understand.
Yeah. Well, I lost it. Sorry.
Well, if it comes back to you and we're still talking, feel free to come up, okay? Thank you. Who else, Mike?
Anthony Parmenter, 3A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. What's it, A, B, and C?
Yes, sir.
Which one do you want to take first, A?
Well, overall, just the Longwood issue,
Okay,
sir.
go ahead. Just identify yourself.
My name is Anthony Parmenter. I live at 6130 Longwood Avenue. That would be Lot 19. That essentially would put me directly next to CVS. My concerns about CVS is overall the depreciation of my property. Essentially, who wants to live next to a business, especially if it's running 24/7? My bedroom, my living room, two of my bedrooms, my living room, my kitchen, all border that side of the property. I will lose all privacy. When I'm on my deck, everybody will be able to see me. When you have a home, you want a certain set of privacy, and CVS has just kind of diminished that for me. As it was previously also said, I'm more worried about the additional traffic that's going to bring on the road. If you live on Longwood, you know you can't really turn left onto Route 40 from Longwood. It's a nightmare. It's a accident issue, and it takes forever. So once CVS comes, their clients are going to realize that they have to turn right onto Longwood, passing all of our houses. There's plenty of families, a lot of children, and we all have pets. That's going to put everybody at risk for the speeding traffic trying to get off the road. Pardon me. Now, additionally, at the end of Longwood, by the turn, that road is not really designed for traffic. If one car is coming from one end and another from the other end, there's a good blind spot, and it's easy to almost hit each other. The turn onto Mill Street isn't ideal for high traffic. We've been dealing with it nice and fine as residents, but not for high volume. Then, like the past two were saying, we're in a quiet neighborhood. We're all communal. We all like each other. There's no problems, and we would hate to see that go away. CVS would knock down all the houses from my property down to the street. All the greenery, all the trees. That's going to increase the road noises onto our street, and that's unfair for us. Then other than that, like going from a historic residence zoning to commercial, just kind of to me sets a precedence for the township, saying that anything could really happen. It doesn't really matter where you live and how the zoning is. If a big business wants to come, it could happen. So I don't know where the township wants to go with that, but unfortunately, it seems like it's setting a bad precedence. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Michael?
Richard Mueller? Mulek?
Hello.
3A,
Good
B,
evening.
and C.
My name is Richard Mueller. I'm here for the same issue. He covered a lot of my topics. The location, it's just a bad location. I understand they want to be at every intersection, but if you look at every intersection, there's a CVS. Both of them on English Creek. If you go up to Mullica Hill, if you go down to Marmora, they're all in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by businesses. So their bright lights can shine all night long on their 24-hour CVS, and it doesn't bother anybody. I'm not going to be able to sleep because I'm going to have 2 houses away from me. There's going to be a CVS with their bright white lights shining in my bedroom all night. And I don't think anybody would want to live right next to a CVS and have that. Putting it at the end of a residential area is just contrary to what they've been doing all along with all the other ones. And so they seem to be they want to be at every intersection there is. And you know, people are saying they can move down the street, but it's obvious to me, they don't want to be down the street. They want to be at the intersection. And the intersection itself is a bad intersection. People come over that hill. If you're traveling east on Route 40 and you want to turn into Longwood, you're taking a gamble because people come over that hill, and for that split second that you see the car, you can't see how fast they're going. So you're like, are they going slow? Are they going fast? Should I take my shot? So you have to jump over, and from what I'm understanding from people that have lived here for 40 years, that intersection's bad anyways. Now you're going to increase the traffic because their whole goal is to increase their amount of sales, which means more people. They're going to have a food store in there. It's going to increase all the traffic right in that one intersection that's already a bad intersection. And it's dangerous to turn into Longwood. And as he said, the main thing is everybody coming out of there is going to turn right on Longwood and come down Longwood. They're going to hit that corner and they're going to go straight into the empty lot there. So you're going to have to put up a sign with a big arrow saying turn. You're going to have to widen, because Longwood's a certain distance, a certain width, but when you turn the turn to go to Mill Street, it gets narrower. It's only as wide as 2 cars. So you're going to have to widen that. If you're trying to turn onto Longwood and there's a car there, you got to stop and they pull out and then you can pull in. And that's people that live there and know you got to get over. Anybody that doesn't, they're not going to care. They're going to be right in the middle of the street. Excuse me, sorry. And then as far as the property goes, my property value's gone down already. It's going to destroy any property value. Nobody's going to, if I decide I want to move, suddenly I get a job offer somewhere, I'm moving, I'm never going to be able to sell my house. Nobody's going to want to live right next to a CVS on a street with a high-traffic street. It's going to change the entire dynamic of the whole neighborhood. If you want to come in and change the entire area and pay everybody double market value for their homes, I'm sure some people will take that. But for the people that have to stay there, I understand that there's people that want to sell their houses to CVS. They're going to make a large amount of money, especially the gentleman that has the 3 houses right there on the corner that all look the same. Going to make a lot of money. I feel bad that I'm standing against somebody trying to make money, but I have to stay there. And I don't want a CVS blaring its lights, high traffic, people walking up and down the street, because they're not going to walk down Mill Street, they're going to walk down a nice, quiet street. And it's just going to destroy the entire dynamic of our whole street. So I urge you to not allow CVS, just tell them to seek somewhere else. It's not a good location. Even though it's an intersection, it's not a good intersection for CVS to be at. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Michael?
Carlo D., nothing, no item listed.
Mr. just remembered his comment.
Good evening.
Carlo Di Gregorio, here for my mother-in-law owns the house. She's feeling ill tonight, plus overwhelmed. Her name is Susan Beatty, who owns the home. Her husband was in the war. She got a little bit of money, and she wanted to move to a nice, quiet area, and figured that she did. I have a son. I'm living there with her. 7 years old. Found a good school, nice, quiet area, and basically, I'm not going to take up all your time, but what everybody else said, that's, basically, what's going on, from the traffic to the accidents on the corner to the construction that's going to happen for I don't know how many years, and the homes are all just going to depreciate. I could keep going on and on, but for what everybody else said, basically that's what I have to say.
Good.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, did you remember? What's the secret to getting it back? I need to know. I need to know. Mary, don't we? Huh?
My other thing was the property values. We've already been told by a realtor that if the CVS does build there, that the property values will go down. Our property value has gone down $6,000 in the past 4 or 5 years in the reassessment. And the other thing is, I was talking about the traffic, people speeding up and down the street because it's a quiet street and they think that they can fly down it. We've already had some little kids almost get hit on bicycles on that street because there's people live on the street that have small children. There's some that live next to me, and then on the corner there's people that live there too that have small children. And they skateboard, they rollerblade, and people turn that corner and they just fly down the street. I think sometimes they're doing like 50 miles an hour before they get to the other end. So it's just an action waiting to happen for us, what I see.
Again, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Mike?
If it's Leanne or Lane, Scatone, Leanne? Okay. No, no, you're not.
Leanne Scatone, Lot 733, Block 1. Basically, everything that everybody's been saying is what I'm going to say too. I think we were under the impression that we were going to be talking about the rezoning tonight, and not necessarily adding those properties to the rehabilitation. So a lot of what you're hearing is in reference to the rezoning. So I'm going to kind of skip through the parts that everybody else touched on and just add a few more things. Let me see. We recently learned that CVS is proposing to purchase and demolish homes in our quaint and quiet neighborhood and build a new CVS on the corner of Mill Street, Longwood Avenue, and Route 40. We were also recently learned that CVS needs to have the zoning change from high-density residential to general commercial in order to proceed with their plans. And we are here to contest this proposal, and here's why. I feel that rehabilitation doesn't mean demolition. The historic homes in this area are part of the charm you experience coming down Main Street onto Mill Street, contrary to what Mr. Nemad has stated. The number of homes that are being cared for and worked on significantly outweigh the number that are not, as well as the number that are vacant or abandoned. If I could buy them all and refurbish them, I would. What CVS and Mr. Nemad deem as aged, blighted, and deteriorating homes, those of us living in these homes have seen them having individual character from a period of time you just can't recreate today. I have been in my home, my 100-year-old home, for almost 4 years now and have been breathing new life into it ever since. The whole reason I bought my home, which is on the corner of Mill Street and Longwood, was because I love the unique charm of the homes and businesses and the scenic views of Lake Lenape and the river. I grew up here as well as my parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, and I've always admired the way our town repurposes and reuses its buildings, especially the historic ones. So much so that I also have a small business right on Main Street in a 100-year-old building. And speaking of business, like many people, it's very convenient having a CVS right in town, and like many people, we want to see downtown Mays Landing shining bright and full of commerce. However, the proposed site for the new CVS is not a good fit for our town. First, it is not creating new business, it is simply relocating its current business, which would adversely affect the small businesses in a shopping center that is already struggling. Then all about the safety things. Oh, and if CVS moves across the street, it's only benefiting CVS. This could decrease the values of our homes, and our concerns are real. We hope you'll take all these into consideration and realize we are zoned high-density residential for a reason, and we hope it stays that way. That's it.
Thank you very much for your comments. Michael?
Cheryl? It's all been said, okay.
Come on up, sir. You didn't sign up, but come on up.
I apologize for not signing my name.
It's quite all right.
My name is Richard Krajewski. I live on 6137 Longwood Ave. I've been living there for 27 years, I guess. And what I've been hearing with everybody is definitely true. A lot of traffic. A lot of kids play on there. I've played on there when I was a kid. What I don't understand is why CVS wants to move in the first place. They have a huge spot right there. No businesses have even really made it, except for 3. That's Johnny's, the nail salon, and CVS. So why don't they just expand over there? Why come over on our side? That's what I don't understand. Or, even further, why don't you bring it on the other side of 40, right across the street? All that is commercial property, right over there. Romax used to be there, that's all commercial. You have 1 home, maybe 2, but all that's commercial. So I don't understand the situation. I don't want to see a CVS catty-cornered to my house whatsoever. Other than that, that's really all I had to say.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No one else? Ladies and gentlemen, it's always good when you come before committee and realize you have a voice, okay? And I just will assure you that committee does listen to people, and a lot of times people don't come and they think, well, no one's listening to us, okay? We're listening at this point, all right? So the fact that you came up, you voiced your opinions, it's recorded. When they play that back, you'll be able to listen to it again, and it's part of the record. So I just want you to know we hear you, and I understand your concerns, and I'm sure the rest of the committee feels the same. Okay? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. That's it, Michael?
Sir.
Okay. Item number 3, discussions. Formal actions may be taken. The CDBG program funding recommendations. Phil, we asked you to look into this, right?
Yes, you did, Mr. Mayor, and members of the governing body should have my April 12th memo to Mr. Jacobs. Basically, you wanted me to check to see if our Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, or the allocation could be used for improvements at the MISBA Inland Human Services Center. In reviewing the requirements of the program and discussing it with the ACIA staff, it is possible to use it. The funds can be used for improvements to facilities owned by nonprofit organizations and open to the general public. But they have to be used for improvement to the facility and not for operation or maintenance purposes. So it'd have to definitely be an upgrade. And the rules do require that the improvements primarily to be benefit either low and moderate income persons, either from one of the recognized categories of persons, which I have listed at the bottom of the memo, and includes severely disabled adults, senior citizens, illiterate adults, persons with AIDS, etc., or through a survey demonstrating at least 51% of the beneficiaries of the improvement are of low and moderate income. So yes, it's possible. There's a lot of work we would have to do with the folks from MISBA Inland to get there, and something we can start working on for next year's application if that's what the committee chooses to do. But as far as this year, because we have a real short timeline to get this thing put together, from the time of the announcement of how much money we were going to be allocated or what we had left over that we could reallocate to the time the application has to be submitted, we had a month. So for those reasons, and also the fact that the bulk of the recommendation that I made previously is for housing rehabilitation, which, as I'm probably for the rest of my time I'm here at the township, I'm going to be stressing that is our affordable housing obligation for the next 9 to 10 years, to do as much housing rehabilitation as possible. So again, I would request the committee authorize the application to use our 2016 allocation of CDBG funds, which is $89,587, plus the remainder from 2013 of $33,167 for allocating $70,000 for housing rehabilitation, and the remaining $52,754 to finish the ADA improvements here in Town Hall, in this room, in fact. That's a project from 2014. We're out to bid right now on the door improvements, the soft open door hardware, and also for the second handicap access ramp to the construction entrance of the building. And because of funding limitations, we weren't able to get to this room with that prior money. Now, with this year's availability, we should be able to get that taken care of.
Okay. So what's your pleasure?
Just a comment, if I may.
Please.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for looking into that. And as I understand your recommendation, it's to proceed pretty much with the planning for this year, since that has been going on for a while. You've indicated some requirements, and you said that may meet the requirements out there, and that's fine. I know the people out there, you said it will require some work, and I'm sure they're going to be very willing to work with you. So thanks for looking into it.
Not a problem.
So what we can do is, even as we can probably, I want you to take a tour of the building.
Sure.
In the next couple of months. And we can bring out what some of the projects could be, such as, for example, ADA for the bathrooms up there. okay? Doing some work with the handicap-assessed doors to have them automatic open if you use the
Correct.
push button,
Same
right?
thing we're looking
So
for here.
things like that
Yes.
we can do, plus a few other things we may see in the building, correct? All right,
Exactly,
so
yes.
we'll slate that for the next round. Okay, good. I hear you, Rodney. Okay, so what's your pleasure on this? Do we agree with him?
Yeah, I think it's important to note for not only like CDBG type program, funding programs that we have, but also with things like our budget. You know, these are things that have been in the works for years, and this is how new projects come onto the list when we have these types of discussions. So to get it into the fold and into that planning process is probably the most important thing. So I think it's good to move forward with the recommendation that we have now, and certainly get the projects at Mitzvah that are being discussed vetted, so that if they are a viable option, we have it ready for that next round of funding. So I make a motion to approve the CDBG program funding recommendations.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Bouchard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
I- go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor, before we go into the next item, can we maybe have, I don't know, Phil or John even, just kind of level set what we're talking about, specifically as the
Sure.
agenda item, and maybe just the project as a whole? Because
Well-
Leanne mentioned that tonight we're talking about adding 3 properties into the area in need of rehabilitation, which basically just gives them the opportunity to receive the tax incentives that we've put in place. But there are other things that have been discussed at the planning board level and
Right.
elsewhere that some of the residents are referring to, so.
Well, from a planning board perspective, I can tell you that at that meeting, when this came before us, we looked at it and we decided to break it down in two sections. One would be allowing the lots 13, 14, and 15 to be designated as areas in need of development. And that's something that we have the resolution before us tonight for. And then we decided that, and it was a total yes vote on both of these thoughts, was the zoning request. The zoning request, we just felt that it needed to go back to Township Committee. The feeling and the discussions we have a very capable planning board, very qualified members, and perhaps this is something that will end up, we shouldn't be discussing as a committee level anyway, zoning issues. That's why we have a board. So perhaps in the minds of most of the members, that the zoning board might have to take a look at this, is where we're with it.
Well,
And I think the other thing that's important to note is that this isn't a government project to move CVS. The CVS is a private business that has approached the township with a project that they would like to do. And I'm not sure, but I'm assuming, and I believe they have assessed some other areas for opportunity to go. And it's my understanding that some of those property owners wouldn't sell for them to go into some of those other places that have been mentioned. So this is, I guess, their best plan for right now that's under consideration.
Well, I think the memo that came back, the letter to Township Committee from the Planning Board, was that the Planning Board recommends that the zoning request, that is the changing from an R9 to a commercial, is inconsistent with the master plan, and that it be sent back to Township Committee with the recommendation that the Planning Board look at the lots in totality, the entire corner, and other parcels in the area that maybe need a change, so that proper notification can be given to all the residents so that they can have input. That's pretty much a lot like several of you had tonight, and obviously there's more residents that may probably want to speak, but tonight's consideration, am I correct, Phil, is that we're just going to vote on the fact that to accept or not accept the planning board's recommendation, right?
That's all you can do.
That's all we can,
That's
right?
what the agenda
And so
says.
you just read one planning board recommendation. But
Right.
the other one, which is the one that's on the table tonight, reads, "The planning board has determined that lots 13, 14, 15, block 733 are in need of rehabilitation because they meet the requirements of the rehabilitation law. Therefore, it be recommended to Township Committee that the historic Mays Landing area in need of rehabilitation plan and the historic Mays Landing redevelopment plan includes lots 13, 14, 15, block 733. That's the only thing we're taking action on tonight.
That's all. And
Mr.
we're all
Mayor.
familiar with them, right? They're the three homes between Longwood and Mill Street that face 40, okay?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if you would allow me to address the public, I think I
Please.
could allay their fears.
please.
Is there a microphone up there?
If John's not here to yell at you, Bob, so you can,
I'll use this one. Here's one here, Bob.
that's fine.
I hear you, the Township Committee hears you, and you need to understand the process. And I don't normally do this, but the process, there's two items here. One is to declare the 3 lots, there's 10 lots at issue. Of the 10 lots, 7 of them are already in the district. The 3 lots that we're talking about adding to the district are contiguous to the district. And it makes sense because they're historic homes that are eligible for the pilot program and for tax abatement, which is an incentive to fix those 3 homes. And the planning board has said, because what happens is the governing body refers items to the planning board. And they do that because the planning board is vested with addressing planning and in some respects zoning issues and developing the master plan for the community. So this governing body has appointed some very, very capable people to that board. And they take their advice very seriously. So the one thing is, should these 3 homes be eligible for tax relief so that they could be renovated and receive that benefit? And the planning board says yes, and it makes sense, not only because of the history of those homes, but because they're contiguous to the rest of the district. A second request came in through the attorney for CVS, and that request was to change the zoning from R9 to general commercial. Whole other issue. Now, when it comes to changing zoning, the planning board is vested with evaluating it and providing its input and its opinions to the governing body. As a matter of law, they have to do that. As a matter of common sense, they do that because really, they're the experts. They're the people that have been appointed to do this. And what your planning board has said is that because the master plan was just recently readopted in November of last year, because of the timing of it, and because they looked at all of the properties in the historic district and in the township. For example, they changed some of the properties out near Sugar Hill to make them commercial. And the presumption is that they looked at these particular properties and said, it does not make sense to extend that zoning to them. And because of the temporal nature of that, courts are going to look at that pretty darn closely. But CVS has the rights of anybody. They can go in and buy land, they can develop land, they can do whatever they want. It is up to government through the zoning and planning process to control that. If the zoning is not changed, then they would have to go to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a use variance. And all of you would have the right to be heard at that time. So if you're opposed to it, and I get it, I know what Longwood Avenue's like, keep your ear to the ground, keep your eye on the newspaper, and see what happens next. But there is a process where they can do it independently of rezoning. But what the governing body is saying to you is, and it hasn't come to you yet, that if and when it comes to them, on my advice and on the advice of the planning board, it's a tough row to hoe. So I felt the need to tell you that because I live in this town and I feel what you're saying. So there is a process here They're going to come back here, and they're going to formally ask this governing body to rezone. There's a process at the zoning board, there's a process at the planning board. So you have to remain informed.
Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
Is Phil gonna, are you,
You finished, Phil?
I think that it's
pretty much-
what you
you hit
said,
it.
Ms. Gatto, and what Bob said. Again, the most important thing is the planning board says, include the properties that make sense. Put them in that area. And just one other thing, to be clear, with this request for amending the rehabilitation area and redevelopment plan, yes, it's called the Mays Landing Historic District Area in Need of Rehabilitation. But all you're doing is amending the area. The historic district,
is not,
as established by
Still the same.
Ordinance 1238, is not changing.
right.
So that, these folks won't have to go to the Historic Preservation Commission for work that they do.
Right.
Okay.
It's simply those two designations, areas in need of rehabilitation and areas in need of redevelopment, are designations we can offer that then opens them up to the
Correct.
tax incentives that
Correct.
we've passed for that grouping.
So the proposed resolution says would be amending the Mays Landing Historic District area in need of rehabilitation to include lots 13, 14, and 15 of Block 733 in the Township of Hamilton, Atlantic County. So strictly a resolution, right, Bob?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the
and-
agenda is incorrect. The agenda
Yeah.
talks about lots 10 through
Yes,
19.
I seen that.
I'm
And
just
7
looking
of
at it.
those are already in the district.
Yep.
Right.
So just for my own clarification, which specific lots are those?
13, 14.
Yeah, and which ones are they on the,
Facing the 40, from Longwood to Mill, the three homes that face.
There's pictures of them in our packet.
If I may, the reason for the confusion with regard to the number of lots, if you go back to Mr. Nemad's request that was submitted, he based it on the entire 10, from lots 1 to 10. That's,
But I think that the resolution that's been prepared by Phil is very specific
It
with
is.
respect to its findings of fact.
Yeah, it's correct,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth reading the last part of the resolution, which says, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Hamilton, that 1, the housing stock on lots 13, 14, 15, Block 733 are at least 50 years old. 2, the structures thereon are in a deteriorated or substandard condition. 3, lots 13, 14, 15, Block 733 are adjacent to the Mays Landing Historic District area in need of rehabilitation. 4, the boundary of that district is hereby amended to include 13, 14, 15. Prior to the adoption of this resolution, it was forwarded to Hamilton Township Planning Board for review and recommendation. And 6, a copy of this resolution shall be forwarded to the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs. So, given the resolution in front of us and the Planning Board's recommendation, I make a motion to approve the request for that amendment.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Bouchard?
and I'm going to recuse myself from this vote.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
And in terms of the other recommendation of the Planning Board on this, it's not on the agenda, so we're not discussing
We're
it.
not going to
Right,
vote, right,
right.
correct.
Okay.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the request for an amendment to the Mays Landing Historic District area in need of rehabilitation and redevelopment plan to include Block 735, lots 1 through 7. Phil, do you, or Bob, do you want
And I think Phil's
Go ahead, Phil.
ready on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
to identify where this is?
Yeah, this is the property that includes Luke Oil, the shopping center, McDonald's, and then the office building, and the car wash.
Car wash.
On March 28th, Tom Darcy, as an attorney, submitted a request to the governing body on behalf of C. Richard Tunney Incorporated to request that the properties at Block 735, lots 3, 4.02, 5, 6, and 7 of Block 735 be included in the historic Mays Landing area needed rehabilitation. These properties are already zoned commercial, so that part of the contention that we had with the prior item is not an issue. At Mr. Jacobs' request, I looked at the documents submitted by Mr. Darcy, and just to make things a little bit easier and a little bit clearer, if nothing else, I mean, they're requesting to amend the established redevelopment area to include these lots. Different than the prior lots 13, 14, and 15, which are right next to the historic district and pretty much the same fabric. Here you've got, it's disjointed, it's separate from the area. You've got Route 40 and Mill Street that separate it, and it's completely different character. You know, it's commercial operations there. If the governing body is on board with forwarding this to the planning board, I would suggest you forward it to be its own area in need of rehabilitation rather than part of the historic area. Again, just because it's a different character and you're dealing with different issues there.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of sending it to the planning board for that kind of review, Phil. My question is, though, what is kind of our general policy or our general thought process going to be with regard to, I guess, private requests for incentive plans or for where we want to direct incentive plans? So we specifically, we started doing tax incentive programs via the abatement and pilot program in the industrial park because we wanted to create an atmosphere of viability for people to come in and redevelop in that park. And we also felt that because we have plans in place to redevelop the Main Street area and kind of do things with that historic district, that we felt that would be the next right place for a tax incentive program to go. We never looked at this area that has come to us. I don't know if we should or shouldn't. I don't know what the right answer is on that. But I guess, I think we need to kind of figure out our policy of what's our criteria going to be, I guess, if private people are going to come in and ask for areas, or are we going to be kind of setting the direction of, here's the next area we want to focus attention of activity. So I guess I'm just kind of putting that on the table and bopping it there.
Well, when the study was done with the grant money, it didn't include that area either.
Right.
That wasn't part of it.
So I would suspect that we would certainly continue in our direction to identify areas we think are appropriate, but at the same time, if someone else makes a suggestion and it's good and it's consistent with our own thoughts, then I think it's worth considering.
Yeah, I don't disagree that it's worth considering. I guess I question, are we setting any precedents that we need to worry about? Is there any level of fairness or unfairness? I don't know. If we're treating one kind of business owner one way or another, and I'm kind of looking at Bob and Mike to I just want to make sure we're being consistent and fair.
After we passed it for the historic district, a gentleman stood up and then came up to the microphone, if you remember. He said, I think you ought to have the tax abatement program for the whole municipality. Now, as wild as that may have seemed, it makes a lot of sense in this economy, because a lot of people want to fix up their homes. They may not have the wherewithal to do it by themselves, and having the ability to be part of a tax abatement program sort of spreads the incentive to fix up your properties and gain some credit for doing it. So again, your question is a good one, and I think we've got to balance it out that way. And Phil, when we look at everything, if they do rehabilitate the shopping center, because I'm not here to be a critic of it, but obviously it could use some stuff, some fixing, and there may be other areas, but a lot of other property owners keep their properties. Okay, you're going to have that argument coming back to you.
Exactly.
What credit do we get? Because we always keep ours nice, okay?
And you have some shopping centers right now that have been fixing up their area, and they do that because they're good corporate partner, and that's what they feel they need to do to remain competitive in the area that they're in. So that's what I'm saying in terms of the fair and consistency question. You know, I want to make sure that we're thinking it through.
Also, that request when it came in identified the properties, including McDonald's and the car wash. However, that's not Tunney-owned property.
Correct.
So basically, Tunney's request is his property. He
Well,
decided
again,
to
the-
include
and include the
McDonald's and the
others, too,
car
sure.
wash. Yeah,
Unbeknownst to them,
yeah,
correct?
yes.
Yeah.
A couple things, and again, ultimately, the decision's going to rest with the five of you. If you do refer this on to the planning board for their review and recommendation, it's incumbent on the requester to basically demonstrate that, yes, we meet one of the, I think it's 7 or 8 different criteria for being an area needing rehabilitation.
Right.
It's not as an intensive proof as you would for a redevelopment area designation, but you still have to be some level of documentation that this condition is really there. The other thing, too, is the planning board's going to have to look at it and say, well, is this also consistent with our master plan? Is this consistent with the Mays Landing neighborhood plan that we just adopted last November also? So it could be that it could come back from the planning board saying, no, we don't think so. Or, yes, we do, and here's why. You know, they have provided adequate proof of this condition, at least on certain properties, and we find it to be consistent at such and such a location.
Okay.
But again, it is something that we really, at least on this one, that would be the guidance, and I guess we would really need to sit down and set up a policy about that. Also, you know, the question's been raised at other times with requests for rezoning. And it's like, you know, should the township's resources be spent with this private request? So it may be also the need to modify the ordinance itself to say, if you want to request it, fine, but you know, this is what the fees are going to be for us to look at it.
Who's your
So
feel?
this is a request
Right,
for rehabilitation
correct,
with no plan
correct.
for
No
rehabilitation.
plan for rehabilitation.
Interesting.
Well, you know, and that may be something that if it gets sent to the planning board, they may want them to demonstrate.
Yeah, I'm sure we would, because my understanding, just
Good point, Art.
quickly, would be that
Why I'm here.
McDonald's is not in a situation to, in an area where they could expand because of the marsh and stuff behind them. So there's really nothing McDonald's can do. The car wash is new, so the only property I think is being talked about realistically is the Tunney office building. So I don't know.
And Phil, can you just refresh our memory in terms of process with regard to the racetrack and Wheaton's? So both of those were deemed areas in need of either rehabilitation or redevelopment.
Correct.
But we worked with the property owner, and that was done with a plan developed as well, if I remember correctly.
That is correct.
Okay. So this is different in that, to your very good point, Art,
Good point.
there's a request, but there's no plan. Okay.
All I'm saying is that it would be a lot more if there was some type of plan or even a concept of what they were looking to do there.
Yeah.
It's just giving him carte blanche of all his property being under this legislation, which is, I guess everybody would want that.
Yeah.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, he would, anything he did over there would be subject to review.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go through the planning process.
Absolutely.
Right, so I suppose he just wants to know whether it's worth his while to develop a plan, or whether that's even feasible at this point.
So perhaps the planning board can look into that
Yeah.
better and recommend back to the committee.
So we're
That's what I would think.
We'll keep them employed.
Okay.
Okay. So what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to refer this issue to the planning board for review.
I'll second it.
The motion is second. Any other questions or comments? Rita, please.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you, everyone.
And with that, could we maybe ask the land use liaisons to, you know, just consider a policy or, you know, our approach to handling either special requests or if we have next steps?
Yeah, Phil, I think that's a great idea, yeah.
No, it does. I mean, and there's going to be a lot. I mean, and I think the point was well taken. There's one shopping center over there, Festival Mall, that's spent considerable amount of money with a new facelift, and they're fixing up a lot of their properties, and
Yeah, and
obviously-
we're trying to balance being
Yeah, agreed.
business-friendly and attracting activity, but also being fair and consistent and making sure we're still going through the right planning processes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is the Green Team proposal for a trial farm market. Ingrid, did you want to come on up to the mic, please?
Musical chairs.
Well, good evening. I'm sure you've all taken a look in your packets. We have a short proposal from the Township of Hamilton Green Team to run a farm market, possibly in Gaskell Park. Just a little background, this is an item that will give the Green Team points towards certification. You know, they've achieved their bronze just shy of a year of coming into existence. So this is a project that there's a great deal of interest in on the team. And subsequent to handing this proposal in, what we thought was a small issue might become a larger issue, and that is the Green Team understands the desire that this not be a township-funded effort, that the team not use taxpayer funds for those sorts of purposes, which is completely understandable. So they had just made a decision to pursue 501c3 status, and it appears it's going to be a little more complicated than that, but we are looking at that issue. Basically, I think the Green Team just wants your blessing on the 4 days of trial farm market that they want to run in Gaskell Park. You can go through the proposal and see that there's some good reasons that they'd like to do it. They've done some research. There's an awful lot of good information out there from other Green Teams in other towns that have done it. So there's a lot of work already done. They have been to the Merchants Association to propose the idea, engage the support. It seemed well received. There are a lot of people that have been coming into the Green Team meetings to say, I'd like to volunteer and to help. So these are all good things. Small steps, 4 dates, 3 in August and 1 in September on Sundays are what the proposal is. There are no other farm markets in this general area at all that run on Sundays. It's been a fairly common and popular concept with some of the towns that have Green Teams. So they've already started reaching out to some local folks, local farmers, beekeepers, that sort of thing, to see if there'd be interest, and they've received some positive feedback. So this is the plan that they've been asking you to endorse. And you can see in here, I've also listed, they have understanding of what their commitment includes. And their commitment does include providing the leadership, the coordination, the support, the recruiting of vendors. So they're very much trying to do this as a group, and realize also that they cannot do it without the amount of volunteers that are going to be necessary to run it. So.
Yeah, and if I might just comment, I attended that last meeting. I know this is something we as the Green Team has talked about for a while, and as many members in the community know, it's an item of general community interest. We've had make proposals. I think you've done a fantastic job so far in planning, in coordinating with people and talking with other municipalities that have done a similar thing, and in talking with the county. As you mentioned, one consideration is the funding and how that's done, and the 501(c)(3) was discussed, and in fact, I believe our township solicitor was going to be contacted on that. Were you?
I was. Last Friday, I was contacted by Ms. Marks. And I will remind you that I offered to do the legal work for the Green Team for free, and I continue that offer. But it is, at first glance, I had some notions about a 501(c)(3), but Ingrid and I have been speaking, and really what we need you to give us tonight is the authority to dig into it. I don't know, for example, how the grant process works, and I don't want to create something to create a system where they can have a bank account, collect fees, pay checks that would affect their ability to get grants, which is out of my league. I'm not in that kind of law. So what we are looking for, Ingrid and I, is your blessing to give us the go-ahead for the next couple of weeks to talk to other communities that have it. Now, Ingrid got an email, was this Brigantine?
Yes, that's the Brigantine.
On how they did it. And if you will authorize us tonight, we'll contact as many other communities as we can to see how to do it without affecting the overall big picture of their ability to get grant monies. What we don't want to do is create a process. You know, everybody wants a farm market. I'm a farmer. Okay? We all like that, and it'd be great for town. But I don't want to affect their overall abilities to do what they got to do in the big picture.
Well, I would certainly be happy to see you do that, because I volunteered to look into the 501c after you were contacted. But I think that approach would be a better one.
And I can say that the Merchants Association, Ingrid, they did come before the Merchants Association and kick this idea around. Also, this has been proposed almost 5 years ago, as we had to come up with a list of things we thought would be good for the community in an event, and the farmer's market was right on the top of the list. So you're following with something that's definitely an idea that I think residents and everybody would like.
Yeah, it's my understanding, too, that the Gaskill Park location has been approved with some, just some conditional approval, but we at least have a verbal on that as far as, that's my understanding.
From the
Great
county.
area.
Right.
Yeah,
You get a lot of passers-by, and
Yeah.
it'll showcase it pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's also a good idea to do the kind of trial run, because I think that'll give you a lot of good data to use in terms of building on the future. So I think it's great. I'm concerned about the 501c3 process too. Probably from a little bit of a different angle. It's something we were kind of seeing on the recreation side with some concerns from volunteers collecting money and having that liability on them, and on us, and is there audit concerns? I don't know. I'm just saying it's something to also think about.
Sure.
And I would say, I guess, is there any conditions from the county that is put on us in terms of resources, or?
I only know that Mike had spoken with the county and that they had requested we have a police officer there during the farm market. I don't have a written response from them at this point, nor have I spoken with Clayton.
Okay.
So
I guess
see.
we'll figure that out when the time comes.
Well, there's also an insurance consideration.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. I am not qualified as an attorney to talk about grants. I've never done a grant. I've never written for one. I can't give advice on it. But what I can do is deal with Ingrid and these other folks in other towns. And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a separate 501c3 entity that would be affiliated with the Green Team. I think that's where we're headed, so that they can operate funds. But if whoever's issuing the grants says the funds got to go through the township, that's a whole other ballgame.
Well, isn't that one where we currently can deal with? I didn't really know whether we were addressing grants to the township. We already have a process for that, don't we?
I guess you do, Rodney. I'm not privy to that, but what I'm saying to you is that I am willing to dedicate the time and donate the time to do what we can do to get this farm market up and running. Just don't want to take the responsibility affecting your overall processes and your overall goals. That's something the Green Team members themselves are going to have to analyze. So if it comes to be that we learn from other towns that they are in the grant process and they are using let's call it a subsidiary, to write the checks, collect money from the vendors, buy the insurance and those sorts of things, well, then I have a comfort level. But before I would do any of that, I would need your blessing and your authority to do that and to work with Ingrid to make it happen.
And Bob, would would it be, and I know that it's a time thing where I'm sure they'd like to get this test market part done. Is there some way that perhaps the test market section of it could be done with some help through the Merchants Association? I talked to the president tonight, Fred Nebels, and he's totally agreeable to doing anything that he can do along with vendors for the test portion. Then it would give time for you to look into the grant aspect. I'm not sure if that's something we
I'm not
could
going to
do.
look into the grant aspect. I want to be clear on that.
Okay.
But I think that between Ingrid and I, we can come back to you at the next meeting and give you the benefit of what we've learned.
Right.
And that's early May.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I do
Rather
think
than-
so.
And rather than oversimplify it, if it comes to a point where you're beating your head, you always have the option of not charging the vendors at all and let them collect their own money there.
That's
Okay.
always a possibility
That's-
as well.
It's only for, and I think your goal was to have the farm market, to get the publicity for it, to gauge the interest, okay? And then move ahead in other ways. So I think you have options too, all right?
Well, we do have to pay for the policemen then, and there are probably some other minor charges.
I think, number one, we need to find out if we have to have the policeman or not.
Yeah, I need the written response to our
Yeah.
request for that use of facility at the county. So
Okay.
we'll see what
Yeah.
goes from there, and, you know.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the Green Team's, mindset of let's try to be cost neutral to the taxpayer.
That was your request.
Absolutely, and it's great. On the other hand, if there are resources, it's almost inevitable. If something's happening in town, there's going to be resources required, right? So let's know what that is so that we can try to figure out, can we try to figure that out? And how
Ahead
do
of
we
time.
do that ahead of time? It's not budgeted, but can we figure that out? And then we know for future as well, if that's going to be a continued onus that we need to think about budget-wise, then we will, so.
Sure, I think they wanted to really get the, kind of the blessing to move forward with the planning
I
portion
think
of
we're
this.
So,
Yeah.
I'd like
We
to
all think it's
move,
great.
Vote on it.
yeah,
I
I
think
have to
that what you
move
can
to
do-
give him the authority.
Authorize.
I think that you can authorize the dates tonight, subject to Ingrid and I reporting back at the
Okay.
next meeting.
Good.
Make a motion on what Bob said.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
I just want to reiterate that Bob did say it would be at no cost, so that's
Absolutely.
appreciated, yes.
I said it, I meant it, and you can go to the bank on it.
We just want to let everybody know what you've offered.
Could you read into the record, please, the dates?
Yeah.
They're right here, okay?
They're the last three in August and the first in September.
8/14, 8/21, 8/28, and 9/4.
From 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I think that was a great choice on days and times.
I think the team has done a great job in general in planning for this.
Good, Rita.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes?
Mayor Silva?
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
Ingrid.
you. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Okay. Next item on the agenda, item number 4. This is a public hearing on the adoption of ordinance 1819, 2016, an ordinance amending Exhibit A, Section 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 66 of the Code of the Township of Hamilton, providing for the maximum number of employees. Now, Michael, just to repeat before I ask the audience, this is for the,
This is to
You
hire a full-time
hiring a
electrical
full-time
inspector.
electrical inspector,
We're
correct?
currently about 5 weeks behind on doing inspections, so we really need to hire this employee, so.
okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to speak?
Motion to close public portion?
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Thank you. 5, introduction of ordinances. An ordinance 1820, 2016. An ordinance repealing and reserving Section 2003-134C of the Township Code regarding term limits on developer performance bonds. Bob? Please.
In our land use and development ordinance, there is a requirement consistent with the Municipal Land Use Act that a developer who's getting site plan approval, subdivision approval, and things of that sort post a performance bond. For some reason which I really don't understand, our ordinance requires that bond to be posted for a three-year term. And we know historically that many of these developments are not built out in 3 years for economic reasons and based on their sheer size. And it created a dichotomy because it's not required in the municipal land use law. And it came up in the context of a situation where I was authorized to take action on a bond and realized that the three-year provision was in it. We recommended, as your solicitor, that it be removed. It went to the planning board. The planning board has recommended that you remove it. My office has drafted an ordinance deleting that section so that the bonds would be on their face valid until the Township Committee says they're not.
Okay.
So in other words, and each bond, I look at each one. I review every performance bond. And I make sure that A, they're issued by an institution authorized to do business in New Jersey, B, that they have the face amount, C, that they're secured by the assets of the bonding company, and finally, that the term of it will last until such time as the Township Committee says the bond may be returned to the developer. So this takes care of all that.
Bob, is there a notification procedure? I mean, what we witnessed ever since the downturn in the economy and a number of subdivisions that had their developers go chapter, is there a provision that if the bond, I'm talking about normal times, if the bonding company goes out of business, we're notified?
Well, yes. We've had that happen here where a bonding company went into liquidation. Now, it was not a performance bond, it was a restoration bond. And that's a different animal. But under liquidation law and under bankruptcy law, the bonding company must supply a list to the court, the bankruptcy court, of creditors, mortgage holders, and general unsecured creditors. And we would fit within that category, being the owner of the bond, and they would be the obligor for the performance of the bond. So the answer is yes, by law you should get it.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask a question in that regard? How can we protect ourselves from situations where bonding companies do go bankrupt? With an insurance company, for example, there are insurance pools, and the insurance pools protect the insurance company in the event they go out of business. They're backed by the pool. Are there similar arrangements for bonding companies, and is there some way that we can assure that whatever bonding companies we do business with have that provision?
The truthful answer is, I don't know. But here's what I think. For example, auto insurance law, if you're injured and there is no personal injury protection to pay your medical bills, the state has what's called PLIGA, which is the Personal Liability Guarantee Fund, which steps in the place of what normally would be available through personal injury protection. Is there such a guarantee fund with respect to the bonding companies? I don't know. But what we try to do, Rodney, is you look at these bonding companies, and if it comes in the Hartford, and it's secured by, $16 billion in assets, no one construction company is going to put them out of business. So when we get a bond, and I review it, attached to the bond is a statement of a financial statement. And so far, at least the ones that I've reviewed, pretty strong. The one that went under liquidation relates back to a time when I was not here, and whoever was here couldn't have predicted it anyway. So, I mean, I can look into it a little further for you, but I didn't anticipate your question. So
I
I'm
think
not
his
really sure
question
the answer.
too, other than an irrevocable letter of credit, right, would be the only other option, right, to guarantee us that.
That's one of the three mechanisms of bonds that can be given through our ordinance. That's issued by a bank. There have been banks that have gone out of business, but not very many. And in this township, I can't think, as I sit here, of one example where we were not ably protected on an irrevocable letter of credit. And by the way, you're bound by the four corners of what the Municipal Land Use Act allows you to do. Because as a municipality, you derive government from the state and only from the state. So that statute tells you the three available mechanisms.
All right, so it's performance bond, the letter of credit, and what's the other one, cash?
Cash.
Okay,
And we actually have some of those, cash.
yes. Okay.
But if you would like, I'll get you an answer, Roger.
I would appreciate it, and I think it's good for the township to know the answer to that.
Amen. What's your pleasure on
After hearing our solicitor's comments, I would make a motion to approve, to adopt ordinance 1820-2016.
Second.
to introduce?
It's to
Introduce, yes.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Rita, please.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes, and introduced. Public hearing is May 2nd, 2016.
Thank you.
May 2nd.
B, ordinance 1821, 2016, an ordinance rearranging traffic signals located at the intersection of Venice Boulevard and Church Street and Aspen Street. This basically, Michael, is they're just switching the stop sign, correct? Is that right, Chief? Yeah. Okay.
Based on the recommendation from our traffic officer.
Right.
Make a motion to introduce?
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Read.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
Ordinance is introduced. Public
you.
hearing May 2nd.
6, award of bids and contracts. Authorize the purchase of 4 sets of bleachers from Game Time totaling the amount of $20,440.60. Funding from Off-Site Improvements Recreation Trust Reserves.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just before we start going into all of these, just a note that pretty much everything that we're awarding contract here for is coming from one of our long-range plans.
Correct.
So this one, for example, is coming from our rec plan, which is a multi-year plan. We have vehicle replacement for police on here, vehicle replacement for rescue. We have our the mobile video recorders, all part of our technology plan. So just a lot of our multi-year plans, part of our either our operating or capital budget, that's what we're buying tonight. So with that, I'll make a motion for A.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. B, award bid number 2016-03, purchase one new stock or demo emergency medical vehicle to Bayhead Investment Company, Berlin, New Jersey, in the amount of $204,981, which included a trade-in funding from General Capital Ordinance 1794, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Authorize the purchase of 5 mobile video recorders and all associated equipment for each from L3 Mobile Vision, Inc., funding from police operating account.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva? All yes
Thank you.
and carried.
Yes. D, authorize purchase of 5 mobile data terminals and all associated equipment for each from Patrol PC, funding from police operating account.
So moved.
Yes, a second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Read.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. E, authorize the purchase through Safe Corridors Grant from Bayer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of one 2016 Dodge Charger Police, Cranford Co-op 47. It's item number 8. It's $26,059.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments?
We did get this through a bid process, is that right, this particular?
It's through the Cranberry Co-op.
Okay, okay.
Member of.
Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
F, authorize the purchase of vehicle from Buyer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, funding from the police operating account. 2, 2016 Ford Police Inceptor SUV, Cranford Co-op 47 CP CPS, item number 2, $55,892.
So moved.
Are we going to do them all at once? Yeah.
I can take them all at once? All right. Thank you, Aim. Number 1, 2016 Dodge Charger Police from the Cranford Co-op, item number 8, $26,059. And 1, 2016 Ram 1500 Crew Cab 4-wheel drive SSV, same from the same co-op, for $24,596.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Item number G, award bid number 25, 2015-11, demolition of 6372 Beacon Avenue to Earth Tech of Seaville in the amount of $37,435.25.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just should point out, there's a lot of special events on that consent agenda. The Mitzvah Volunteer Fire Company coin drops, the Cologne Volunteer Fire Company annual chicken barbecue, and St. Vincent de Paul raffle. So make sure you take a look at those dates and support those entities.
Okay, item number 8, personnel, authorization to advertise for a full-time zoning officer.
In accordance with our budget and our strategic plans, I make a motion to advertise.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. B, accept the resignation of the Industrial Commission member Rocco Policarpo, term ending 12/31/2016.
Are we allowed to say no?
Well, Bob, good. I know you want to say something.
I
I
do.
served with Rocco also. Been there how long? 40 years?
A long time, a very
Yeah.
long time.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rocky Policarpa is a very special human being.
He is.
And Charlie's here, he's a member of our Industrial Commission. As the solicitor of the town, I have the pleasure of also sitting as a solicitor of the Industrial Commission. And recently, Carmen Ficciatola retired, Bob Ravel retired. I think between them, they have 100 years of service.
Easy.
And what they have done, and Rocky, Charlie would certainly agree with this, is it's really cool because they come to me as the lawyer and they say, we're here to help people develop in the park, and your job as our solicitor is to make it happen any way you can. We're here to help people develop, we're here to help people get things done. And Rocky was one of the many voices of reason, a very, very special, dedicated person that spent a lot of years on the Industrial Commission. And I, for one, because I live in this town, appreciate that. Between Bob Ravel, Rocky, and Carmen Ficciatola, it's been a chunk of history that I have been very, very proud of. And I wish we could say no, Amy.
I think the other thing that's really important to mention about all three of those names is that they really cared about making sure the next generation was ready to pick up where they're leaving off. They always imparted wisdom, history, guidance. They always wanted to teach you what to do and how to do it, so that the legacy would continue, and I appreciate that.
There was never politics.
Never.
It was always business. It was always, how do we get this done, and how do we get it done right, and how do we get it done fast?
And as statesmen,
Absolutely.
yeah.
If I just might add, I've had limited contact with Rocky, but the contact I have had has been very positive. He's an inspiring guy. He's obviously very much motivated very much doing things in the interest of the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't replace people like that.
Nope.
You don't.
I do think we should honor him if we could get him to come to a meeting.
I say, it's a shame he's not here.
I mean, decades of service like that really need to be, I think,
Absolutely.
recognized among our volunteers. So
Agree.
if we can somehow coax him in, I know he's probably working a little bit at the ice cream
Custom-
shop now,
sure.
but
Tell them to bring ice cream when he comes.
I will tell him.
Hello?
I quality checked it last night, by the
It's
way.
good,
You know,
huh?
everything's all good for the season. Well, anyway, make a motion to accept the resignation.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly. Thank you. Approvals, minutes of April 4th, 2016, regular.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes of April of 4th, 2016, executive session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes?
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Approvals, payroll and bills, bill list totaling $1,809,377.53.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Are there any questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes?
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Reports, Mr. Administrator?
I don't have anything to add to my...
Thank you. Mr. Solicitor?
I think I've already done enough talking tonight. I have nothing
That's
further to
unusual to hear that from an attorney. That's good.
Good point, Roger.
Yeah. Mr. Engineer?
Just two minor things. The South Jersey Gas project on Jackson Road and Cole Avenue is under construction. Actually, quite a ways along with it, so we're keeping an eye on that. And we did finally get the pre-construction meetings for Buffalo Plug Associates, Wednesday in Cherry Hill, and Thursday here at Town Hall, and also Holy Cross Cemetery is scheduled for a pre-construction meeting for that project.
Buffalo Pike say when they were starting, effective?
They want to get started yesterday,
The weather's beautiful. Tell them to hurry up.
but they're missing out.
Steve's doing well?
Steve is doing very
Well,
well.
would you pass on to him from committee? We wish him a speedy recovery, please.
I think he watches it after the picture.
Huh?
He's checking on you.
Is he watching? You good?
I got a question
Go ahead.
on the gas line. I had originally thought that the gas line would also go up Malaga Road toward the railroad tracks. There are a number of,
There are a couple different sections. I don't know if they've got to that part yet.
I know there are a number of people very much interested in that, and I was going to ask whether you knew what the plans were there.
I do, I don't have them with me, but I can give you information on that.
Okay, because certainly I think, well, we have contacted before about that, haven't we, or have we?
Well, we really hassled Steve about it before he went out, because our biggest concern is all the time and money we've spent on repaving Malaga. We didn't want that work to get undone, and we really wanted to make sure the diligence was being done on that project with the gas company. I think that's what you're referring to, Rodney, so if we could
Yeah,
just...
I'm also referring to the fact that there are some customers along that area that are very much would like to have gas coverage. And they actually thought that this would include, the work they're doing on that would include that, and now I'm not sure, but,
I'll follow up on that.
Now, is most of that work being done in the shoulder?
The work that's going on Jackson is mostly in the shoulder with a few crossings.
Okay,
But yeah, majority of that is in the shoulder, correct.
all right. Thank you. Township Committee. Art?
Thank you, Roger. I'd just like to make a comment about what the Green Team is doing. Ingrid, Rodney, great job. This market sounds like a fantastic idea, and I really hope that it all works out with all the paperwork and red tape that you have to go through. I know it's a lot of work, but this is another thing that makes this community, as large as it is, small enough that we can do things like this, and it's really a great thing. I'd also like to say that Roger and I had a chance, I don't know if the other guys went, but we went out to the Mizpah Fire Department and destroyed my diet. They had a sub-sale. I just, like Amy said, I want to encourage everyone to support our fire departments. They need money to run and to do the things and get the equipment that they need. It's since being here on Township Council, I've learned the expenses that they incur up and above what the township does for them. And it's very important that we all get out and support them any way we can. I supported them so much, I even took one home with me. So my wife wasn't very happy about that, but I was. It was pretty good. They were very good, actually.
Dewey, they won't put you out of business, though. It doesn't agree. It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, no, after the car show, we'll be there. The last thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank our solicitor, Bob Sandman. It seems like almost every month we're here, and there's some group or someone who is trying to do something good for the township, and he's always reaching into his pocket. And I don't know of any lawyer that does as much pro bono work as you do. But I want to say thank you publicly in front of everyone here, in front of committee. I appreciate what you do and the fact that you're here and the work you do for the township. Thank you very much.
Here, here.
I'll second that.
Yes, absolutely.
It's because I live in this town.
I thought it was because you're a good guy.
Well, I like to think so, but
Listen,
thank all
let's
of
not let them get too crazy over there.
Yeah, we don't want to go, no teary-eyed, okay? But I
Get a
know
little
Bob-
misty over here.
And I know Bob, long before he was a solicitor, he coached for a number of years at the baseball and of all the kids, and he was in buddy ball with us for 10 or more years, and, yeah, Bob, you got a history of giving back, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, your comments are very well put. John?
Yeah, I'd like to just mention that there's some exciting things starting to happen down on the main part of town. It's good to see things moving in a positive way. The cafe was sold, and we're hoping that we're going to see something exciting happening there. Also, there's a possibility of having a contract soon on Brownie Squared Bakery, so perhaps we can get someone involved in there. Also, there's a barber school and a hairdressing salon for women opening up on the main street down near where the barber shop is now. Of course, we have Anytime Fitness that is working hard to get that building ready. And then right off the main street, we have another sub shop open up over where the old Mario's used to be. And of course, down on 50, Gregorio's was purchased and their tenants are in there. So I see some things happening right around the center of our town that are exciting, and I hope it continues.
That's awesome.
Rodney?
Yeah, well, I first of all, I'd like to second the comments that Art made about the Green Team. At the last meeting I attended, there were 11 people there, and I think that's probably going to grow, and all of them were enthusiastic with all kinds of ideas, and they're looking at a number of areas, lawn debris, water, just all kinds of stuff. And it's really encouraging to see that from our citizens. I also want to say the same thing about the Senior Advisory Committee, and I see we have at least a couple of people here from that. They put on an event, what was that, Thursday? Anyway, no, it wasn't Thursday, Saturday. And that was, yeah, it was the day it snowed, yes. The mayor was there also, and the snow was coming down. Well, you saw the snow. I think they had, in spite of that, it must have been 70 people or so that showed up.
77, I think.
77?
Official count.
That was a huge crowd.
It was and had it not snowed, I think they were expecting 150, 160. So it's really fantastic. And the speakers they chose were all excellent. Very good program, and they're off just to a bang-up start with great people on that committee. Just one other thing, I did attend the township officials meeting. This is the meeting of township people in the county, and there's one. Well, there are a few things of interest, but one which most of us probably don't think very much about, and that is our telephone service and our FiOS service. There's some areas of this county, some of these townships, where the service is terrible. And it's a continuing battle. I think we're lucky in that respect, that at least I am, and maybe most of us are, in not having continuing service problems. They've also, and I think we all share this problem with transportation, and we're trying to get our Department of Transportation to get things done. I know one municipality is for years working on an intersection that's just waiting for an accident to happen, and they can't convince the state to put up a traffic light. So these are things that we all share. I think as a common goal, we ought to be working on the Department of Transportation because things just take forever with them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rodney.
All right, I also want to commend the seniors on a great event. I popped in there as well, and it was really nice to see the attendance, but also listening to the speakers. I think it's important to know that these events are not just for senior citizens, and probably just as valuable for family members who are caring for those seniors or who are going to be caring for those seniors. And I know I've certainly been learning a lot about just estate planning and taking care of an estate with assisting my father after his wife's passing. And there's just so much to know and learn to do to get ready for that phase of life too. And that's where I was in, the speaker was talking about. And I just want to encourage people to really get involved and go to those events, even if you're not a senior citizen. I know
Support them, too.
I know your tagline is seniors helping seniors, but I really think it's seniors helping the community, no matter the age. And I know we've talked, Carol, about doing some intergenerational events and getting some of the school kids involved and things like that. So I think it's really awesome the things you guys are doing. I also want to mention Roger and I attended the Hamilton Township POW Police Athletic League. They had a recognition luncheon for 20 years of service. They've been in existence for 20 years, and they honored many of those volunteers who have been there from the beginning or who are there now, and another group of selfless members of our community who do really great things for our youth. And we were happy to enter that partnership with PAL with the building in front here, and it's really been great. So I think it's worthy of us saying thank you to those volunteers at PAL. I also want to just highlight Ken Mosca is our kind of liaison with Atlantic City Electric. Anytime we have issues, he's our community partner, and he's always there for us. And he and his wife run a group called Faces for Autism, and it's a group that does really great things with regard to the autism community, education, awareness, programs, things like that. And they had a wonderful event this past week for a fundraising event, and it was really, it was moving, it was fun, we had a great time. And by the way, Bob Sandman was a big supporter of that event, so he does do things out of town, despite what he might say. But I really want to commend Ken and the work that he does with that group. And speaking of Atlantic City Electric, don't know if you saw today, but those of us who are members, we're getting a $113 credit on our bill this month as a result of the merger with Exelon, who I used to work for. They're a great company, so I'm glad to see them coming in and becoming another community partner here. So I think it's all good things happening there. We have quite a few things coming up in town. Cologne Fire Department and Laureldale Fire Department are having their yard sales coming up. Cologne's is in 2 weeks, Laureldale's is in 3 weeks. You can check out their Facebook pages or their websites for the dates and information if you want to buy a spot or if you want to go shop. Again, it goes back to supporting the fire departments. Earth Day Festival that the ACUA is putting on is this Sunday. Again, information on their website and their Facebook page. There's a ton of events for the family planned. And on Friday night, the K-8 school board is going to be recognizing their paraprofessionals of the year. And those are Maureen Minton from Shaner, Bonnie Repko from Hess, and Faye Fuller from Davies, and just honoring their years of service, their commitment to the students, and the things that they do in the school system, all really great things. And looking forward to doing the interviews for the police department we have coming up at the end of the month from a very long list of talented applicants, but looking forward to, it's always a great process to go through that interview process.
And Amy, you mentioned the ACUA Earth Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're having an Earth Day here. This community is having one also.
Yeah, I think the mayor was
working
going to
with
mention it.
All right?
Got it, yeah.
I can sit here, you guys can do a great job. That's good.
Sorry,
Want
did
to
I
make
screw
sure
your
we got it,
thunder?
that's all.
fine.
Oh, the other
I
thing-
was just gonna hold up the brochure on it because it's,
Well, the other thing is, the Great Area Carver Regional School District is going to be having, developing a strategic plan, and they are, as I understanding, modeling their approach after our approach, our strategic planning
Correct.
process from many years ago now. But they will be having meetings for the public to come and participate Thursday, April 28th at Oakcrest, Thursday, May 12th at Absegami, and Thursday, June 2nd at Cedar Creek. And if you went through it in Hamilton Township in our strategic planning process, it was a process, but we had a lot of great value come out of that process that still drives a lot of our decision-making today. So it's important for community members to get involved and give that feedback at those sessions to really be able to develop a strategic plan. So I encourage everybody to go. And now I'll shut up. Sorry.
the interesting thing is that this has probably been the first time in years that the school board and the superintendent's offices have opened up to us, inviting us in to listen to their budget presentations, to go over it ahead of time with us, and even the other day, I received a letter from Phil Gunther, superintendent of the vocational school, about where all their money goes. And what's nice about it, for years, we've been talking up here that the largest part of our tax bill is school taxes. It's 53.3%. And it's nice now that we get an explanation rather than a bunch of numbers. Does it make you feel any better? No, but the $113 credit from the electric company does.
Makes me feel really good.
Tell them to send a check, don't give us credit, okay?
No, it's coming to my bill.
But, all kidding aside, I think it's great that everyone's starting to open up. I agree with Amy and Rodney about the strategic planning. I think it's the way to go. And rather than any time you have a problem, rather than just raise taxes, find a way to deal with the problem before you get to that point. The other thing I wanted to talk about, in case anybody hasn't noticed, the improvements we've been doing over at Underhill, they have raised the netting at the ball fields there to over, 40 feet, Brett? So that now some of those power hitters we have, Bob, that send it over the net, and they put in the larger poles, and it looks great. They have more portable bathrooms over there, and I know we'll be addressing issues at that. So it's all good stuff. I mean, there's a lot going on. I think when you look at it in town, whether it's businesses coming in, whether it's events, and this is the event time of the year, there's a lot coming up. So look at that good book that the Merchants Association put out. There's a whole calendar of events, and hopefully everyone will pay attention to it. As far as Mitzvah, we've still been keeping our communication open. The nice thing about it, and please, got to get Dwight moving. I mean, we've been after Dwight now because to meet with, to talk to John about the fact we wanted to come and address the Merchants Association so that hopefully, correct me if I'm wrong, John, they could provide some events up there to spread it around the community. I think that's the intention. We've also been looking into the school, the little school, the historic school. Is it historic? They tell me it's been there, 70 years? Yeah. And if you notice, we did board it up, and the reason we boarded it up because some of the windows were broken in the basement. We didn't want anybody breaking into it, and I think we have, our attorney now was looking into the deed, because you have, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bobby, please.
In 1919, the Board of Education for Hamilton Township acquired title to the property. In the year 2000, someone I'm not sure who, approached the Board of Education to have the building tendered to...
Atlantic Resources.
What was it?
Atlantic Resources.
Atlantic Resources, yeah. And apparently there was an agreement signed, there was a deed prepared. The deed was forwarded from Lou Greco, who was the attorney for the Board of Education, to someone who I believe was the attorney for Atlantic Resources, but apparently that deed was never recorded. I did a title search, and it turns out the Hamilton Township Board of Education is still the titled owner to that property. So, we don't own it, they don't own it, the Board of Education owns it.
And I think the way for us to go at this point, since it hasn't, was to notify them, because they probably aren't even aware of it.
Well, not only did we do the title work, but we, in the tax assessor's office on the property record card, it still has the Board of Education
As
as
the
the record owner.
the owner of record, correct?
They're going to pay you for the title work?
I'm sorry?
Are they going to pay you for the title work?
Title work was done for free,
Another
okay.
benevolent thing. See
All
that?
right, there we go.
And some more.
and it was done for free by Bob Bishop, who does our in-rem foreclosure title work, and he did not bill you.
So we're moving on that. We'd like them
Thanks.
to at least get in there. I mean, there's old playground equipment in there, and there's a lot of stuff that I think they have to address. But come on, did you want to come up and speak? Come on. And by the way, we took a vote. No one's going to put you out of business, and no mitzvah sub shop, nothing like that, okay?
Uncle Dewey, did you open up for the season yet?
No, I will open 30th of April
30th of April?
with the horseshoe tournament.
Okay.
With the horseshoe tournament, right?
All
I
right.
won't be playing. But anyway, I would like to thank you for considering MISPA. You have, at least our name is in the minutes. We appreciate that. I've been involved with the MISPA Inland Human Services since it started. And we used to get mentioned sometime, and it would be swept under the rug. I mean, you know, just like now. But I don't think that has happened because I've
It
been
won't
to
happen.
4 meetings, and I do appreciate the sincerity you seem to have toward us. But I want to say this, we need some help now. We don't need it next year, we need it now, and we're willing to help ourselves. We don't want you to come and just give us something, but you can give us some ideas, give us a helping hand, and we will help ourselves. We've already made plans to start doing that because the children in that area need it, and need it better than probably in most areas.
Well, you have been doing that, right? It's not just starting, you have been doing that, helping yourself.
Oh, yes, we have been helping ourselves. We didn't just start, but I'm saying we're in worse shape now than we have been in a long time because the center was closed, you know, before the end of last summer. I used to feed everybody in the township, all the schools free. I mean, you know, I didn't charge nothing or make money off of it, and I still will do that. But we're asking the township to please help us, and we will help ourselves. Thank you for your attention.
Well, I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak? Come on forward, please.
Well, I had 2 questions I want to ask, but I want to piggyback on Dewey. MISPA School, I started there 1952, so it's been a long time, so I just want to mention that. Okay, my second question now is number 5B, ordinance 1821 to 2016. Rearranging traffic signals for
Venice Church in Aspen.
The intersection.
It's just changing the direction of the stop signs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not moving
Yeah,
any.
that's it.
Okay. And my last question, I haven't been here in 4 months.
What'd you say?
I haven't been here in 4 months.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've been missing
We
you.
missed you.
Missed you.
Yeah, okay. But, I want to know what's the status on Malaga Road.
Did just get the detour permit, so it's going out to bid very soon.
Okay, that's
So
good.
it took forever to get the permit.
Okay,
So you might not have been here, but you're not forgotten,
okay,
okay?
all right.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the public? Please, Harry, come on up.
Good evening. Harry Rogers, 1069 Morningside Drive. A comment and 2 questions, if I could. First, a comment on the redevelopment of Block 733 lots, I think it was 10 to 13?
Well, we did
That was
13, 14, 15.
13, 14, 15, excuse me. I'm on the planning board with John, We went through the discussions, and there was a lot of good thought put into this. There's competing interests on both sides of this topic, particular issue. And I would ask the board, yourselves, if this project does move forward to fruition, that it only be done with great consideration to the traffic issues. The last several projects that we've looked at as a planning board have just been traffic nightmares. And that particular intersection was never an intersection built for the traffic that we have today. It was laid out probably 100 years or so more ago, and it's just not suitable for a lot more traffic. I think some very innovative things could be done to protect the residents along Wood Avenue if this project does come to fruition. Perhaps even considering making Longwood Avenue one-way southbound. But I mean, that's not for me to decide. But I think, as a board, if this is going to move forward, that it be done with some very thoughtful and innovative traffic considerations. But that's what's going to disturb the people on Longwood Avenue the most, if this goes forward. That was my comment. 2 questions. At a meeting some time ago, there was a discussion about the air bridge over Old Harding Highway. And the solicitor was looking into this as to who owns it and what's going to happen to it.
Oh, you mean the one that goes across the Wheaton project?
Right.
Yes.
I was wondering, I know, Bob, you were looking into this, and I've never heard, maybe I wasn't at the right meeting, but I've never heard the closing comment as where we stand and who owns that, what's going to happen to it. And it kind of ties into one of my other questions here. Where do we stand with what's left of the mill from the township's perspective?
Well, you're talking about over the
Connecting the 2
Yes.
factories, right.
It's Old Harding Highway, actually.
Okay, I reported on that a very long time ago, Harry, and,
I don't think it was ours.
pardon me?
I don't think it was ours, ownership-wise.
No, there's a provision that says that if certain events happened, it has to be removed. I
Right.
can recall that, and I can revisit that for you.
It's been a while.
That's the last thing I remember hearing you saying,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was,
You know, I'm old now, my memory's not so
Yeah.
good.
Well,
you know?
won't
But I
that
will-
become an issue, Bob, of when Wheaton, the old Wheaton building comes back and they come before the planning board? Wouldn't you think, Harry, it would become an issue then?
the decision is, or the determination rather, who owns it, I think is probably primary, because if it does,
The town
they're
doesn't
two
own it.
separate properties, aren't they, Bob?
There is an interconnection between those properties, and frankly, I just don't remember. I would be more than happy to pull out my research and come back at the next meeting. But my recollection is that when one of the uses on one side or the other became dormant, that was a condition to trigger certain events that would lead toward taking it down.
Right.
But that's just my memory as I sit here.
And
I
that's
have
the
a
last
file-
thing I remember you
Yeah.
saying.
I'll be glad to revisit that if you like.
Well, I
I
think
mean,
he
is
asked
it a
about
danger?
so-
Is there any danger of this starting to shed pieces? It's been a long time.
Well, you should have it examined by the engineer.
We should, or the owner should?
Well, I don't know.
Well, we're the
Allow me to go
township.
back and look at my file to see what ownership lies and what the triggering event was.
You know what, Mike, tomorrow, would you talk to Phil and have him reach out to the owners of Wheaton, the older building, and ask him what was their plan for the air bridge?
And I think,
Yeah, I have to pull the file, Harry.
Mhm.
We also might ask them to certify the safety of that building.
well, if there's issues with it, then we should be doing code enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, yeah.
Would you tomorrow, please? Thank you. Thank you, Harry.
Okay, and one other question, if I may. A hot topic in 2015 was the lawsuits against the township having to do with public record, or FOIA requests, rather. I haven't heard anything about that recently or read anything in the paper about it. Where do we stand Are we still involved in this? And I'd really like to know how much this has cost the township.
Well, that particular case is over. It was a test case. It cost the township a fair amount of money. Because what happened in that case, Harry, and it's public record at this point, is that a gentleman who lives in North Carolina opened the police department and opened this building. And there's, I think, 32 cameras in this building, some of which are in the holding cell of the police department, some of which are in the Sally Port, where some pretty confidential things happen with respect to the police department. And the Oprah request was, I want the last 30 days of every film from every camera, and every 30 days I'm going to send you the same request. It was ridiculous. It could not have been complied with. So what the township did was it went on the offensive, and under the declaratory judgment statute, it brought a lawsuit to say, you can't do this. This was not the intent of Oprah. This gentleman hired an attorney. They challenged our position. On the return date of the order to show cause, Judge Batten, sitting in equity, restrained them. On the final return date before Judge Winkelstein, there was a hearing, and we lost. And we lost because the judge said the declaratory judgment action is not there to obviate the obligations of government to provide documents under Oprah. And he awarded attorney's fees. Now, as an aside, 2 weeks ago, the same gentleman filed a claim in Cape May City, I believe, and they challenged it because he was not a resident. And Judge Nelson Johnson wrote an opinion saying that because he's not a resident, it's under Oprah. Now, we made those very same arguments, but the judge never got to that argument because he found the procedure that we tried to employ was not available. So that's a very simple explanation to a very complex case.
Did we have to supply those records?
No. It was withdrawn afterwards.
Okay. And
because the police department convinced me, and I convinced the governing body, that you don't want people seeing what's going on in certain portions of the police department. It would affect the safety of the men and women who are on our police force. It would affect the private rights of potentially juveniles who are held in a cell. It would show, for example, how we handle weapons, how we handle evidence. Basically, the committee really didn't have a choice.
this was almost, as I recall, almost a harassment type of approach to whatever the goal was, and I never did understand the goal. But
I don't either, but...
What, is there anything to protect us? Oh, my other question, first of all, what did it cost us? And a fair amount, I think we all have a different opinion of what that means.
$43,000.
About $40,000.
$40,000,
Yeah.
okay. What's to prevent this going forward? Or to make the Oprah, I said FOIA before, my mistake, Oprah requests, I mean, we have rights as citizens to have certain information. And, but as the solicitor said, there's some things that are...
Any changes have to come through the state legislature, correct, Bob?
Well, yes and no. I can tell you that with the good work from our new clerk, Rita Martino, we have in effect a system where she and her staff work with me and my staff to be proactive when we get these things in. So the request that I just defined to you on 32 cameras for the last 30 days, and by the way, I'm going to send it to you every month, it's just not doable. You can't have that. You can't have the camera on the collector's office showing people with cash going out on the internet. Oh, and by the way, he stated he was going to post it on the internet.
On YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah. So, yeah, it kind of, we really didn't have a choice. Our obligation, theirs and mine, were to protect the people in this building, and the chief here, he supported it as well. So, how can we protect it? We're doing it. We're doing it by a process that Rita has devised that is responsive, because we only have 7 days to take an action. And where we feel it is protected, we make that, and they bring an action before the Government Records Council.
The Oprah request, I think you said, was at Cape May?
Cape May City.
Cape May City. The determination that because he wasn't a resident, is that going to
I am certain that will go to the Appellate Division.
Appellate Division? Yeah, okay.
And it could turn out to be costly for Cape May, or it could turn out to be the law of the land.
Okay, thank you. I hadn't gotten the final on that, and I didn't understand some of the aspects. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Thanks, Bob. Anyone else in the public? Carol? Come on down, Carol.
Oh.
Well, we'll get you next, sir.
She has a fast hand. She had a fast hand.
Good evening. My name is Carol Pickett Young, and I am a resident of Woods Landing, in Mays Landing. I am also a member of the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, and the event that was held on April 9th during the great blizzard of 2016 was the first event that the committee held. And I feel it's important to acknowledge the people on the committee who worked so hard, because we were actually 2 members short. We had 2 members that had to leave because of illness, but they have been replaced, which I'll get to in 1 minute. But I just wanted to acknowledge Diane Fox, who was the lead on the event. She did a tremendous job. She lined up the speakers, she got the venue, and she lifted tables that actually weighed more than she did. Bill Schmidt made up our flyers, the sign-ins, paperwork, the agenda, and from the sign-in paperwork, he is going to form a database for us, for the senior citizens. Pat Johnson was the lady at the front door. She's got a wonderful, wonderful personality, and she was greeting people as they came in. She is also, probably as we speak, calling people that were on the sign-in list to invite them to our meetings and promote people coming. Our liaison, Mr. John Kurtz, was very gracious and has been very, very good to us. He worked very hard to get water and all kinds of things. He also donated from the county seat floors some beautiful roses, which were in glass globes for the centerpieces. And we had people fighting over them because they wanted to buy them. Fortunately, we gave them out as door prizes, so we did get rid of them. And we would like to extend our thanks to your wife for giving up your time on a Saturday afternoon.
No problem.
Mr. Gashard was there, Mr. Rodney Gashard, and our former committee person, Judy Link, and they are actually the authors of the, is it a resolution that started us? Resolution, yes. So we were very happy to see you there. Mayor, as usual, it was wonderful to see you, and thank you for helping us carry everything in.
Well, Bill needed help. I couldn't see him pushing that cart all by himself.
Really. Deputy Mayor, it's always wonderful to see you. Mr. Shanker, we need a note from your wife as to your absence. And Mr. Oakrest was there. He came with a friend to help us set up. And just to give you a little bit, and one more person who was very, very valuable to us is our media representative, Mr. Charlie Pritchard. I opened I didn't have to open the Current, because on the front page was a wonderful article that Charlie had written. And after the event, I got the next copy of the Current, and on the front page was a picture of our friend Pastor Ethel Wade from the St. John's Church in Mizpah, and she is also part of the group that we are going to work with to have a health fair in the western part of the township. So Charlie, thank you very much. He said he has no control over what's on the front page, and I don't believe him. So, as I said, we'll be at the hometown celebration, hopefully. as the mayor had made a suggestion to have some mini seminars at the over 55 areas, or communities rather. We have already contacted them, and we will be doing little mini health fairs at those three.
You didn't mention yourself, Carol. You did a lot, too.
Yeah, you did.
Gotta
yeah.
say,
I made
as
the coffee.
chairperson,
I made the
Right, Bill?
coffee.
Yes.
We are currently working on our hometown celebration thing. We're going to be doing an intergenerational program, hopefully with the Spread the Love group being involved with the teen suicides. There is a training seminar that is going to be given on the 23rd by Atlantic Mental Health, and that is not to give therapy, but to recognize the symptoms of someone who is in peril and does need some type of help. Okay. Oh, our two new members, one just retired from Woodview. She has an extensive background in health facilities, and her name is Diane Welke, as well you know. And the other lady is from Tavistock,
Good.
Vi Corbo.
Now, we haven't officially appointed her yet, right?
They haven't, the president was supposed to give me a call. He hasn't. Well, he wanted to notify her before he notified her.
Okay.
does she have her
It should be on the
application?
next agenda. Pardon?
Is her application in?
I don't know.
Because we have, gonna have that happen also. right?
Diane was appointed, but Vi is from
Vi is
the
not
55 and older community specifically.
Yeah, she's the representative from Tavistock, and I guess it's the property manager from Tavistock, had sent me an email. And I said to her, you know, I have to forward this to the township administrator and the township committee for approval. And she put it, they appointed her, and I told her I had to refer it to you.
Their board, I guess, appointed her.
Voted,
but we'll
yeah.
put it on our next agenda.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Vi was actually in charge of the Vincent DePaul food pantry for about 9 years. So she was very eager to get on to the committee. So that's what we're doing for the next year. Again, thank you very much for all
Thank
your
you.
Great,
support.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
Yes.
Bruce, I didn't forget you.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening,
My name is
Mr.
Mr.
Seeley.
Ronald Seeley, and I'm happy to be a resident of Mays Landing. When I heard that there's possibility of funding for the Misfit facility was going to take place, I was very elated. I don't know if you're aware or not, but there are at least 4 food pantries in our area. The Presbyterian Church on Main Street, St. Vincent de Paul, and also the Misfit facility was a food pantry before it was closed. Also, Mount Olivet, Mispa also. I've been a volunteer at the Community Food Bank of New Jersey for the last 4 years, retired teacher. The facility in Mispa is quite a place. My neighbor here just informed me that he was once a student there. I'm aware of Mr. Dewey, what he has done for the area there. And I'd just like to say that this coming Friday, I've asked Mr. Gishard, I've arranged for him to tour the facility in Egg Harbor Township. And I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you all also to, if you have the time, to also join Mr. Gishard. We're going to tour the facility at 12 o'clock Friday, and he's actually going to just observe the operation of the facility.
This is the food bank facility in EH2?
That's Egg Harbor Township, right once you come into Atlantic City, you have the overpass.
It's right on the
Directly,
right.
yes.
Diagonally across from Chapman, right?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And I guess you're aware that once the casinos, people lost their jobs, and we really service the Tri-County area there also. I also surveyed 180 of the pantries in the Tri-County area, Atlantic, Cape May, and Cumberland County. I did that by car, And I was just amazed at the extent of the pantries. They're mostly located in churches, and I just had an opportunity to just drive up 49 or Bears Head Road, and to places that I'd never been to before. But I'd just like to take this opportunity to say that you're all invited this Friday. I've arranged for the tour, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Anytime.
Thank you.
One slight wrinkle, Mr. Sealy.
Yes, ma'am.
One slight wrinkle. Ethel Wade's mom's funeral is on that same day.
Yes,
It's at 11 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how long it's going to last, but that's, I was planning to attend the funeral, and
Well,
maybe some others are too.
In that case, I can make it another time. That's, you know.
I think that's up to you, but I know that there is a conflict. And you
Well,
might
I would like to, as many of you, to tour the facility, you know, as possible. I can rearrange the tour at another time that's more convenient for you, you know? Okay?
Yeah, could you give your information to our
Yes, I
administrator so
can.
that we could get in touch with you?
Yes, matter of fact, one of the directors of the program is a Mays Landing resident, by the way. Also.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Opportunity.
Thanks for your volunteer work, too.
That's right.
Appreciate it. Bruce?
Thank you, Mayor. Bruce Strang. I'm speaking primarily as a ratepayer of the Hamilton Township MUA and resident. I'm also a member of the MUA. I was just appointed, and I've served all of 3 meetings at this point. So there's a lot to, I think I'll begin by reading, if I could, a short paragraph, which is the consulting engineer, Ron Kershaw of Adams Raymond Hegman. And it's only a short paragraph, but to sum it up, and then I'll go back maybe to the beginning, it says ARH, which is our engineer, has been authorized by New Jersey American Water Company to proceed with the design and permit documents for this project, which will provide an emergency supply connection between the 2 public water systems. American Water will be setting up a meeting with Steve, who is the executive director of the MUA, in the next couple of weeks to discuss construction drawing and agreement language with the goal of presenting both to the authority, which is the MUA, at the May authority meeting. New Jersey American Water Company has this project scheduled for late summer to early autumn. So if I have to say, and I'll give you more detail, but this is probably the most irresponsible, ill-conceived project that I've ever heard from any governing body or any committee I've ever sat on. This is being fast-tracked. I can't tell you why. I don't know what's behind it. But at the first meeting that I attended, the reorganization meeting in February, according to the minutes, our engineer, and this is according to the approved minutes, Adams Reagan Heyman noted that they were contacted by New Jersey American Water to perform the design work for the purpose interconnection at their expense. In other words, American Water was going to pay our engineer to do the design work, which seems pretty generous, but at that point, if American Water is paying our engineer, there's obviously a conflict of interest, and no one is solely looking out for the interest of the Hamilton Township MUA. Goes on to say the executive director wanted the board to be aware of the arrangement and felt that it was to the our MUA's advantage to have the consultant perform the design. Once the design is complete, construction costs will be developed at a time, and the board will need to enter into agreement prior to the proceeding. It was reiterated at the time that this interconnection would be for emergency purposes only, and that the water would be billed at a contracted rate to be determined. Discussion ensued. Well, discussion ensued usually means what I say and does not get into the record. That being said, we have in our packet an agreement that was provided by American Water Company that will spell out, and quite frankly, I haven't even read it, and I'm not going to read it, because basically it came directly from American Water. Our attorney has not viewed it as of the past Wednesday meeting. There is nothing there's been no discussion about rates between the water companies. There has been no determination or explanation or definitions of what an emergency was or is or will be, any about who controls anything. There's no discussion. This, by the way, is a 12-inch main that will connect Hamilton Township's MUA to the American Water Company. If I can just stop for a second and refer to a press article of March 6th of this year, and it was an article that, among other things, compared water rates of the various water companies in Atlantic County. Atlantic City, and went down from the lowest to the highest, is 180, Longport 180, Hamilton Township is 235. These were municipally run MUAs. When it got to the New Jersey American Water Company, Absecon, Egg Harbor Township, Galloway, Linwood, Northfield, Pleasantville, Summers Point, all the average rate was $628. That's almost 3 times the rate of Hamilton Township. We are a municipally run. I think over the years, Hamilton Township Water Department and Sewer has provided excellent service to its ratepayers at a very quality product. I don't know why this is being fast-tracked, but there is no discussion. There's no needs assessment. There's absolutely no information to justify this. American Water Company is coming to us as if they're doing us a favor. We really don't, I don't think, need their favor from them. We have 5 or 6 wells, or we have 3 storage facilities. All of the water systems throughout all the township and all the developments are connected. Some of the emergencies that were stated in discussion, I'm not sure where they came from board members, where we had a derecho. Okay? Well, you know, we don't put our water mains on utility poles, so I think an oak tree falling down isn't going to harm any. Sandy is an emergency. Well, I don't think we had any disruption of service or water service. A fire, in other words, they said if there's a fire, we can switch on the emergency water service of a 12-inch main. We have 5 fire departments in Hamilton Township that do an excellent job. Sometimes for a house fire, you'll see 4 or 5 departments. My point is, within the last 3 months, this came up, and now, without any review, any justification, we're going to connect to American Water Company. I'm afraid of the unintended consequences. There's no thought, or again, our attorney hasn't even viewed a boilerplate agreement that was sent to us, and I think we're in dangerous territory. I think in years past, which I was not completely involved in, but I think American Water Company has been trying to tap into our system for a long time. And it's dangerous, quite frankly, because we have no idea what their needs are. I'm not sure, and it has not been explained to us what would happen if, who declares an emergency? Who can we deny them? There may be water, we don't even know the state of sustainability with the New Jersey American Water Company in Egg Harbor Township. So we have no idea what we're getting into. So I'm here to bring this. I think this is a critical matter. I think some of you already realize that. There's a lot of illegal issues here that I am not, I can't speak to, because I'm not an attorney. Jim Sachinelli is the chairman of the MUA. I think anyone who is concerned should contact him, and anyone else on the MUA, Frank Tomasella, Lisa Faust, Mary Jo Couts, and Rich DeFeo. The next meeting, which all this will be, and we have absolutely no information, there's no documentation, there's absolutely nothing for anyone to look at and digest, come up with questions. At the next MUA meeting, which is May 11th, I think it's important that everybody knows about this, because I can't, standing here, I can't predict what the outcome will be. None of the ratepayers know what's going on. Members of the board have no idea. This is being fast-tracked. by the executive director, I believe, that's my opinion, and New Jersey American Water Company. Okay. I later found out that on February 10th at the reorganization meeting, the board appointed Adams Raymond Hagan as the consulting engineer for the MUA, and very shortly thereafter authorized them to do design work for the connection. The connection is in the Case Road area, where the two systems are very close, so it's not a very far distance, but there's valves involved and metering and all this. And the fact that American Water was so generous to pay our consulting engineer to do the design work seemed kind of odd. It was obviously we wouldn't have to expend any money, but then my thought was it's sort of a conflict when we are not paying. Where is that loyalty? I later found out that Adams Raymond Hagan their engineers are also for American Water. So, I don't know how professionals can serve two masters. Okay, there's no engineer looking out for solely looking out for the interest of the Hamilton Township Municipal Utilities Authority and the ratepayers, and I'm very concerned about that. That is a conflict of interest, and I brought that to the attention of the board and our attorney, and we're going to be looking into that. I'm not an attorney, I can't have an opinion, but I did raise that question. And when you see a conflict, it's the duty of elected and appointed officials to bring that to the attention of the proper authority. So, in short, every Hamilton Township municipal utilities ratepayer should be concerned, because I am also concerned about the unintended consequences and what I would call is it's reckless and irresponsible process of due diligence with our MUA. So I'm hoping, I don't know what, well, I think they are an autonomous board, but people need to know what's going on here.
And
you have a sign on Sugar Hill Circle, okay? And I would, in order of importance, I would advertise the MUA meeting 3 weeks from now, May 11th at 7:30, and anyone who has any questions about what they want their rates to be in the future, I can't predict them because I have no information, the board has no information. All they know is that this is a good idea in case of some undefined emergency, and then who has the ability to turn it off and turn it on. So I think we're in a position, I think the mayor, you can state that when you were on the MUA, this topic was raised several years ago.
It was.
And it was shot down.
Yes.
So
Bruce, just to be clear, they authorized design work, but there is no agreement in place at this time?
They agreed, they authorized our consulting engineer, who is also the consulting engineer for American Water Company, to go ahead with the design, and then we'll work out the details, easy. Okay, we're going to put the pipes in the ground, and then we're going to figure out virtually everything else. American Water Company, their rates are at $628 a year, ours are at $235 for the year on the average. Okay, there was no discussion about, who pays which rate with the water going one way or going the other way.
Bruce,
Okay.
I have a question. You're on the board, right?
Yes, I am, yeah.
And doesn't the board oversee this operation?
I would say, that's a good question.
Well, the board.
I would have to,
The board establishes the policy, correct?
Right.
yeah, yes, they do, yeah.
And
He's an alternate, he's not a
Pardon me?
voting, he's not a voting member at this point.
so it hasn't been discussed. You haven't discussed it with the other board members then?
No, yeah, we have discussions, sure. And I registered my complaints, and my not my complaints, but my concerns.
Okay.
Yep.
If I may, I was there. I was at the MUA meeting, and my main question was, why are we doing this? What are the benefits to us? And like Bruce has stated, the benefits are in case of an emergency. okay? Well, a derecho or a power outage, we have backup generators. I mean, to every claim that was made, there was also a way, there was a way around it. So that this tie-in, we haven't needed it in all these years, now all of a sudden we need it. So I do agree, there is a definite push for this to happen, and that push is coming from American Water. I urge the board to be careful. When a big company like that wants something like this, there's something going on. I've been around long enough to know that there are people and companies that they come in and they're like the wolf in sheep's clothing. They're going to do us a favor by paying for engineering that they would have paid for anyway because it's their engineer. That's a whole nother issue, and I won't get into that. I'm very concerned about, along with Bruce, about the way it was kind of brushed off as not being important, that the end result whole thing was in the forefront instead of the connection and scheduling the construction for the connection. Generally, as a project manager, the first thing that I do before I do anything is get a signed contract, period. I'm not allowed to buy anything, look at anything, submit on anything until I get a signed contract. And that signed contract has been reviewed by both parties and their attorneys. We all sign off, and then we go to work. We have a rough draft of an agreement, a very rough draft of an agreement. There's been no talk about what the pay would be, water going this way or water going that way. We have no idea what an emergency is. Is an emergency the fact that they can't handle the demand on their side, so then it becomes an emergency? And then we've got to give them our water because we signed this agreement. I'm a little concerned that the board went ahead and agreed to do this or to start this venture by allowing the engineer to move forward with this without any kind of guidelines, even a guideline of what's going to take place. So I agree with you, with Bruce. Bruce brought his comments up, I brought my comments up, and it was just the fact that this is going to stop us from having any emergencies or help us in any emergency state kind of took the forefront.
What input as our township, as a committee, do we have with the MUA to further understand this process that they're talking about happening?
The MUA is a completely autonomous agency. By statute and by ordinance, we have vested in them the authority to own and operate the system. They vote. In order to bind the MUA, they would need a quorum present and a majority of the quorum to approve an agreement with American Water or whomever. They operate essentially the same way that you do in your representative capacity. So
Could we, if we so desired, if we had an opinion that we wanted to formally share, maybe draft a resolution and send it to them?
you absolutely can do that.
Okay,
But that's,
Good point.
it's advisory, it's not binding.
right.
They're not bound by it.
That's kind of the most.
You
formal
as,
action.
you as elected officials and you as ratepayers and taxpayers have standing to go there and confront the board with your opinions, ask questions, as does anybody else. There seems to be a lot of unanswered questions. I wasn't there. I only learned about this afternoon.
So Bruce, there certainly seem to be a lot of procedural irregularities here. I say there seem to be procedural irregularities here. The way you've described it, it certainly doesn't seem like they have a systematic, consistent way of arriving at these decisions. But my question,
Go ahead, I'm sorry. go ahead.
question. The question is, what dangers do you see here? Essentially, it provides us an alternate, I guess, an alternate source of water, or provides them with an alternate source of water in case something happens, which I would think we would have to agree to anything that took place. So what are the dangers that you see here?
the danger I see is it gives American Water a hand on our system, and then what's next, and how much more?
You know, as far as procedure, and I've had the privilege of serving on committee, and I think when an idea like this, especially one that has long-term consequences, I know that, and any other thing that probably any of us have been involved in, and just with things going back between the planning board and township committee, these things take months, because it takes the meeting of the minds with many people to ask all the questions, get professional opinions, and ultimately let everybody have their say and find out, turn over every stone.
Yeah.
Now here, in this particular case, I've been to 3 meetings so far, and we've gone from appointing, or authorizing our engineer, who turns out to be their engineer too, 3 meetings later, we have a construction date. We're gonna start digging in summer, or late summer, early fall. It's ridiculous. No one can answer any questions, about any of the legalities, any of the design, any of the parameters in which who determines an emergency, what is an emergency, how long can this emergency last? So I can see. I mean, you look at, like I said, the unintended consequence. Let's say Egg Harbor Township declares an emergency because they don't have enough water there, and we start pumping them water. Well, guess what? Who knows? They could go to court and say, "Well, this is an emergency. You've got water. We need it, and at what rate?" These are hypotheticals that have never been they've never been answered, and there's never been
happened in Weymouth years ago? Similar issue?
Yes, Weymouth, others can probably fill you in on the details with Weymouth, but there was a problem with Weymouth Township, which I think that was a
Listen,
big issue.
I will say this tonight. The years that I sat on that board, the 7 years, the ratepayers are all in Mays Landing area, And
Not anymore.
And move toward Cologne a little. When the last well was put in, they connected the infrastructure from every well so that they could wheel it throughout the rate-paying area in the event that one of the wells went down. And it could go down for a mechanical reason, it could be anything. I know from experience of sitting there and having the information, our wells are deep. They go down 1,500 foot to the Cohansey Aquifer. We have plenty of water to take care of ours. I think it was brought to my attention that we haven't overdeveloped in our areas or expanded the water system outside of the areas that they're currently in now. That's where the growth took place. The growth in some of the other townships happened because it was mandated. They may have oversold subdivisions. The demand could be great. I mean, who's going to monitor the sprinkling of the lawn? I mean, who's going to? No, you bring up a lot of questions, and the reason that I pretty much feel strong about it, it's like selling a valuable resource.
Right.
You don't sell your blood. This water is precious.
We have there have been no reports or any presentations.
No matter what you get for it. And why would we strip our people out?
And we have no idea what the state of...
It's not mandated by the state.
It's not mandated.
It's not mandated.
You know, they'll say, well, it's encouraged. Well, what does that mean? Nothing has been shown to us. We don't know the state of, or the condition of American Waters Company system in Egg Harbor Township. I think we have right now a good system, and you know more about that. I've only been there a few months. And like you say, if there's emergencies, we've already covered many of our emergencies. Like you said, everything is, all the wells and the storage facilities and the pipes are all interconnected. So the reason I'm here tonight is because, the little MUA meetings don't get a whole lot of press. The word needs to be get out, and I'm just here to alert the Township Committee and the ratepayers that I don't know what's coming. The members of the board have no idea what's going on. This is something that is being pushed on us by American Water Company, and we have no idea what the outcome of this is going to be. Because standing right here, we have just a draft of an agreement that American Water Company tossed at us, doesn't even say who wrote the thing, for goodness sake. And we have conflicts, in my opinion, with our engineer. So I'm just here to sound the alert that
Thank you.
there is
And
a
you
problem
did.
at
Yes,
the
thank
end.
you.
Well taken.
You struck a nerve. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else in the public?
Move to close public portion.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Meeting adjourned.